Hey there, my fresh-faced furries, my dapper doggos, my cool cats, my insert stress fashion pun here. Y'all in the mood for some slick fashion action? Well, I got it here, and I know I'm really late to the party here with this game, but even still, I am still very surprised how many people I know who have never heard of this game before. The game I'm talking about is the only Fashion Police Squad, coming out in 2022 and made by Mopefulgames, an indie studio based out of Finland. Thank you, Finland. This game runs on the GZdoom engine, something that if you played any Doom game on the PC, you've probably heard of before, and this will definitely not be the last time you hear about it on this channel. It's a modern version of the Doom engine, kind of, that's open source and adds an immense amount of features to Doom, as well as giving you the ability to play any classic Doom engine games and mods in a whole new way. Currently, I'm making my way through Strife with GZdoom, and can also use GZ for Brutal Doom, which I do want to stream sometime, mostly due to the meme value. And other mods like Wolfenstein Bane of Agony, which I also want to make a video on, because as for free projects go, that game is incredible, if not insanely difficult. GZdoom was used to make this wonderful game, and you yourself can make games with this engine, getting the engine from the website itself, as well as using other applications like Slade to make maps. And I know I've mentioned it before, but it's all free, and gives you a new way to play classic games with modern resolutions and even controller support, which a controller junkie like me really appreciates, and gives you access to a slew of amazing indie projects. Despite the number of amazing GZdoom projects that are out there, I wanted to start with Fashion Police Squad because, in my personal opinion, it is by far the most polished GZdoom experience I've ever played. Not to say that the others are janky, but this game definitely feels incredibly streamlined and play-tested, and I believe that is all due to the hard work of the Finnish developer, Mopefulgames. So if you're not shooting anyone in this game, how exactly does one solve fashion crimes? How do you play this game? This game is very different from usual Doom affair, which, is usually filled with lots of powerful weapons, hordes of squishy and not so squishy enemies, as well as wide open maps. Fashion Police Squad differentiates itself in a number of ways. For starters, it's a much more linear experience than most Doom games. It is very hard to get lost in this game, and although there is some backtracking and circling back on certain maps, it is often usually fairly simple to figure out where to go, and it's often literally a straight line sometimes. The biggest difference, however, in Fashion Police Squad compared to its peers is how the weapons affect their enemies, and how you will engage in combat. Instead of killing your enemies, you're actually solving their specific fashion crimes, which upon doing so will snap them back to their fashion senses and out of their criminal behavior as they admire their new threads. This means that just opening fire with your shotgun isn't going to cut it. You'll have to match your weapon to the enemy type and even how the weapon is used. For example, your amazingly named To Die For shotgun is a paintball shotgun with a neon light sucking laser as its special ability. The paintball shots can be used to lighten up colors of drab fashion criminals, while the laser can suck the brightness out of two neon clothing worn by enemies with the opposite issue. So color enemies require the To Die For. You'll see more of these themes with the game's other weapons. You also get a tactical sewing machine for too loose clothing, a belt to tighten up saggy waists, a soapy water thrower to put out fires, and by far one of the strangest weapons I've used in these types of games, sock-stealing gnomes, who honestly will become your best friends. Many of these weapons have secondary abilities that open up new ways to attack enemies. The sewing machine can launch a fabric grenade to keep fast enemies in their place, while gnomes can be set down or be thrown. You will find enemies that rush you, throw projectiles, hit scan attack, or even buff nearby foes. To level the playing field, you'll find barrels of fab that can be shot to quickly solve fashion crimes in a pinch. And each crime you solve charges your all-powerful Fab Glove, which can smack some sense into these wayward criminals. You even get this handy-dandy Belt of Justice as your melee attack. Not only does this give you some combat options, there are a few times in this game where you're required to use the belt to swing from building to building like Spider-Man to get some mostly jank-free platforming. On top of having these high-flying sections, expect the regular combat to be broken up once in a while with some vehicle turn segments, sniping segments, and some fun boss fights, including one that may be one of the best boss fights I've played in years. All that being said, in my personal opinion, I don't think this game is that difficult, but I honestly don't think it needed to be. TBH, the hardest part of this game is sometimes just getting through the memes. but the writing is fun, lighthearted, and genuinely funny at times. All of that, and I have yet to mention this game's incredible soundtrack, which ranges from great to incredibly catchy. I especially like the soundtrack for Mission 7, and it's one of the reasons why I replay that mission the most. A unique and charming art style, creative gameplay that is more about on-the-fly enemy assessment and vertical momentum that sets it apart from contemporary Doom likes. On top of having a unique and fun setting and story, this is a legendary Doom-like game, and one that shows 30 plus years onward, Doom's community is as creative and dedicated as it has ever been. Seriously, I cannot stress, go play this. It's not a particularly long experience either. I want to say I got it done in maybe about 5 hours, but it is an extremely memorable one. When I said earlier that the first time I played this, I was smiling ear to ear, I wasn't kidding. It is a great ride and a great way to introduce either yourself to the Doom mod scene or one of your friends. It's also cheap on Steam and GOG, so definitely give it a shot. And with that, that is the end of the spoiler-free review section of this video. Now I want to go and talk a bit about this game, the game's story, and break down the levels level by level. I cannot stress how fun this game is, and it's not a terribly long nor expensive experience either. So if what I have said so far has got you interested in playing it, definitely go play it before I spoil it. So with my spoiler tag up, let's go through Fashion Police Squad level by level and find out the source to a string of fashion crimes in the fashion-obsessed utopia of Trendopolis.
Even at this moment, our fashionable city is under assault. Baggy pants, dull suits, sightings of socks with sandals. A message needs to be sent, and it needs to be sent in style. Time to serve some good old-fashioned justice.
You play as Officer Dees, one of Trendopolis' Fashion Police Squad's finest, responding to a fashion crime in progress. The first mission, Dull Business, is a fairly easy tutorialist mission that you expect. However, the first impressions of Trendopolis are already sky high. Look at this gorgeous cityscape. It is genuinely unlike anything I've ever seen in a Doom game before, and I'm already in love. We are also introduced to Fashion Police Squad Dispatch and our partner, Officer Haley. Arriving on scene, we find our suspect, a dull suit, your basic projectile lobbing enemy, and he is messing things up at the Lime store. We add some color to this schmuck and try to get to the bottom of it. However, we encounter more dull suits as we make our way through the city. I also really appreciate this game's cute and tongue-in-cheek art style. Your health pickups are delicious mocktails, and armor takes the form of some stylish Rolexes and dapper bow ties. Eventually, we arrive at a red ribbon in which we are going to need a red pair of scissors to get through. I can see some of the Doom influence here. Head north to get your shotgun supercharged by draining the neon from the fire hydrants, clear out some enemies by Club Slay. Keep in mind, the first of many puns you're going to be seeing. We also get contacted from a mysterious stranger, warning us of an ambush up ahead. We also see just how charming Dees can be. Clear out the ambush and cut the ribbon, and we get introduced to a new enemy, the Neon Bruh.
And I'm not your bra.
Fashion crime, too flashy. These guys are fast and will keep you on your feet. Hit them with the secondary of the to die for and you should be able to drain them quickly enough. They even charge your shotgun too. Keep on moving through the streets and the new mix of enemies past 11 Heaven and enter the square. There are a ton of fashion criminals here. You can take them out normally, but Officer Haley points out that our Fab Glove is ready to go. Think of it like the fashionable cousin to Doom's Berserk ability. Activate the ability, and Dees will jump into the sky, charging up his glove and putting it into attack mode. Once you do, he will lunge forward to slap some fashion sense back into those enemies. This attack is also effective against all enemy types. Just try to get as many as you can before the clock runs out. At the end of the mission, we meet back up with Officer Haley and roll out. We also get to see the first of many rehabilitation fashion shows where all the fashion criminals we dispatch this mission get to show off their threads on the catwalk. God, I cannot express to you how charming I find this game. After finishing the level, we also get to see the very Super Nintendo-inspired level select screen, where Deez and Haley discuss their next moves. In the next mission, Loose Business, we are sent to Sheeple Park by FPS Dispatch to solve some oppressive commercial conduct, whatever that means. We blast our way through the dull suits and neon bras until we get to a plaza that has a gray filter. Officer Haley calls and tells us to target those gray billboards to bring the color back to the city. Head back past the gate and we encounter a new enemy, the Loose Suits. Fashion crime, unfit suit. Haley will call once you see this new enemy and tell you to use the Tailor-Made, your personal SMG/sewing machine, and also your all-in-one solution to those saggy suits. These guys will also target you the same way that dull suits do, but their briefcase has some area of effect damage to it, as well as the fact that they can take a little bit more punishment than the dull suits. They're easy enough though to deal with, just pepper them with sewing needles and you should be good to go. Your Belt of Justice can be used to break open crates. Many of them can contain armor and health, so keep an eye out for them. Actually, that's a good as time as ever to point out that almost all the pickups are defense-based. That's because most of your weapons have infinite ammo, so you would think there would be not much of a reason to look for secrets in this fairly linear Doom experience, right? Well, let me show ya. Here is the first of many secrets. Each level has a number of posters that you can find that can get less than pumped reaction out of these. Keep on moving through the level, shooting billboards along the way. Soon you will be contacted again from the mysterious stranger. This time we are going to meet him face to face. I mean, come on, look at this guy. Doesn't he look trustworthy? Look at that face. I don't mind meeting him in a dark, suspicious alley at all. No, sir.
He seems like a nice guy.
You seem like an idiot.
We fight our way to meet him in the alley. The alley has also this really cool fog effect and the mysterious stranger's theme song as well. He emerges from the fog on what looks kind of like a Roomba to me, although I think it's supposed to be a hoverboard of some kind. Not the Back to the Future kind, the frat boy kind. After talking to him, he implores us to move further down the alley so that way no one can hear us. We learn that our mysterious benefactor goes by the alias of Deep Coat. Gross.
Oh, gross.
He also gives us the tea and a new lead on a string of fashion criminals. He points us in the direction of Boss Inc. and has some killer evidence to show for it. He also points out that all-powerful Fab Glove looks familiar to him. He also gives the red scissors to prove his trustworthiness to the Fashion Police Squad. Deez, ever the trusting guy, decides to check it out. We still have to fight the rest of our way there, though. On our way, we encounter sagging pants criminals, fashion crime, exposed butt, and perchant for vaping. Hit them with the Belt of Justice, and they go down easy. They do bring me back to my college days, though. We also get to use our Belt of Justice for the first time to swing across a ravine. This one is covered in toxic gas. It may take some time getting used to for some, but once you get a hang of Deez's air movement, it should be fairly easy to get across, and if you fail, you just go back to the ledge where you started with just a minor health penalty. You can also use the Belt of Justice in combat. If you find a grapple point, you can use it to get to faraway enemies on ledges or just for general movement. Arrive at the foot of Boss Tower and activate the Fab Glove, and Mission 2 is over. Mission 3, like a boss. Oh man, this meme makes me feel old. Bagel! You start off this mission at the end of the super long and intimidating hallway. Don't forget this secret door to the top left near the end of the hallway. You can swing up there by using the chandeliers, and you will see my favorite secret poster in the game.
Dear God, it's beautiful.
Go into his office and have a brief discussion with the boss man himself, and the first boss fight has begun. This fight can be tough. He has a bunch of phases. He starts off throwing gold bars at you that can be hard to dodge. Keep moving and jumping around. You can even use his desk as a bit of cover if you crouch. Damage him enough and he will summon some loose suits to use as a shield. Hit him with the tailor-made to take out his human shields and then switch back to the die for. After doing more damage, Mr. Boss will get a call and an old-timey steam whistle.
Is that a steam whistle?
What the hell's going on over there?
Is used to summon some more baddies. Take them out. Don't forget to use the chandelier to get some air and use the neon brass to turbocharge your shotgun. Keep peppering him with paintballs, keep moving and swinging, and after a while you'll fashionize Mr. Boss and this fight is over. I love his dance. Oh my god. After snapping Mr. Boss back to his fashion senses, we bring him down to Fashion Police Squad headquarters for some questioning, and after some fabric analysis, we discover that, gasp, Mr. Boss was coat washed.
Minister of Malaysia, bad! Martial arts, good!
Haley points us in the direction of a potential subject to such a heinous crime, Arton Cut, famous tailor based out of our city's fashion district. Mission 4, you reap what you sow. Sue? Sow? Whatever. You get much more belt of justice swinging as well as more vertical combat. The Fashion District not only features entirely new textures and building designs, they factor in the gameplay as well, as these narrow roads with high building walls mean that the best way to maneuver is to get yourself high into the air to avoid enemy fire. Also worth taking note here is that you can use your Belt of Justice to hit power boxes to open up certain gates. It doesn't come up much often, but you will have to use it later to open up secret areas. If you forget where the box is, follow the power cord. After fighting our way through the Fashion District, we meet another new enemy, and this one I think is gonna age like milk because it's the Karen. Fashion crime, ill-fitting dress. She flies through the air on a cloud of mace. Aw, so majestic. Hit them with the tailor-made and they go down quickly. Make your way to the park and we are introduced to another subject, the tourist. Fashion crimes, socks with sandals. Remember those gnomes I joked about before? This is where they come in handy. Those tourists are some of the most dangerous enemies in the game because despite their humble, unassuming German appearance, their hit scanning attack means there's no way to really avoid it, and despite cover, and their attack even unleashes a bright flash as well that I find a little disorienting. Fortunately, if you hit them with the gnomes, they have a long stun time. I find 3 to 4 gnomes should be good. Make your way to the car and on to Mission 5. Time to meet your tailor. Make your way downtown, faces pass, and you're homebound. Use the bouncy awnings to get over obstacles and use your belt to swing across the city Spider-Man style. With all the new enemy types, these arena fights are becoming much more hectic. Fortunately, you can use your Fab Glove as a get out of jail free card, but be warned if you use it early, you might not be able to fully charge it by the time you need it again. We are contacted again by Deep Coat. This time he is wearing a rather dapper fedora, or I guess trilby hat? Ask Reddit. He offers to help us again on this mission by providing the red scissors we need to pass by, although something seems a bit off about him this time. Can't quite put my Tommy Hilfiger on it, eh? Access the secret by hitting this power box. Do the same here in the park. Swing your way through the city to meet Deep Coat again. Deez, ever the gentleman, compliments Deep Coat's new choice of hat and seemingly flusters him while doing so. Deez tries again to get some dirt on our quarry. Arton Cut. This time, Deep Coat is saying that no way someone as handsome as cool as Arton Cut would stoop so low. Our clue is so last season. Haley calls before Deez can divulge any information to Deep Coat, and with that, Deep Coat skedaddles. Deez then looks for the key in the other room. Make your way through the rest of the district, encountering a new enemy walking out of the cafe, the Tiny Suit. Fashion crime, unfit suit. Once again, why have I done so many of these crimes? These caffeinated turbocharged recent college grads have been guzzling energy drinks and dropping resume bombs all over the city. And I still feel more attacked. These guys are usually priority for me. They can do damage and corral your movements with their bombs. Their fast movement and invulnerability makes them kinda tough. You have to use the tailor-made secondary grenade ability to hold them in place. And while they're wrapped up in this totally not sus fabric, unload on them with the tailor-made and get them into some proper white-collar office attire. Eventually, we get to Artencut's shop when we get another call from Deep Coat warning us not to take the front gate. Instead, he recommends we take the totally safe and not at all suspicious dark, dangerous side alley. I personally see no reason to doubt him. Seems to have worked since we now find ourselves in a lovely park, but oh no, it was a trap. Instead, we get bum rushed by a bunch of respawning mobs, so get ready to fight. The arena has a lot of cover, so make good use of it. After defeating the ambush, we return to Artencut's shop to meet a super big Dole suit called a Dole Manager. Tougher than their Dole counterparts with a powerful melee and ranged attack that follows a strange trajectory. After defeating them, reveals that they are actually just two Dole suits stacked on top of each other.
It is very obviously just three kids stacked on top of each other under a trench coat.
After we knock on the shop's door to try and get some information, Deep Coat, now with a new unique unicycle hoverboard, pops out and flees into the subway. Get after him and the mission ends. Going deeper underground, we ditch the gleaming cityscape of the surface and head into the subway system. You'd think this would work against what the game's art and playstyle has been going for so far, fast, high-flying movement in an aesthetically pleasing open space, rather than the tunnels and corridors of most Doom games. You'd be wrong again, though. The subways of Trendopolis are just as stylish and over the top as the top streets. Gold trimmings all over the place. These tight corridors will shake up how you approach your enemies, though, and get ready for some ambushes as you explore these hallways. Don't forget to check the stalls for some delicious toilet mocktails. Yummy! Use your belt of justice to enter the, for some reason, gold-plated ventilation system. I would not be surprised if there's some place in Dubai that has the same exact thing. And if not, it should. While stylizing these subway tunnels, we eventually come across the Wet Ones, your all-purpose sooty super soaker, which in addition to functioning how you would expect a flamethrower would in these types of games, it also leaves a trail of water on the ground that gives these a speed boost. If you've ever played Portal 2, you might be familiar with the concept. Sometimes necessary for platforming and accessing those hard-to-reach places for secrets. Use the Wet Ones to escape the room by getting to the other ledge, fight off more ambushes, and then you'll arrive to a new room now covered in fire. Use your new drip to put out the flames. This will be important later. And by later, I mean about 5 seconds later, when we are introduced to this level's new enemy, and personally one of the more difficult enemies to deal with in this game, the Flamer. Fashion crime, way too lit. These guys have a bunch of range attacks from an expanding circle of destruction that will require either jumping, ducking, or finding cover in time. A flame blast attack that leaves a trail of damaging flames in its wake, all that while being fairly mobile and having a lot of hit points. Use your Wet Ones to jump across the electrified subway tracks. Keep your eyes out for pickups as well. It's around this level that Fashion Police Squad really starts to take off the brakes and starts throwing ever more challenging scenarios at you with fewer and fewer tutorials. We find the scissors, but our hacker man friend is back and sends some coordinates to Haley. A challenge. And Deez isn't the kind of officer to back down to a fashion challenge. He's like RoboCop by Balenciaga.
What say we settle this on the runway? Han Solo.
Get on the train and into the next mission, Subway Sway. This level is both visually one of the best levels I've ever seen, and also one of the funniest in terms of level design. I know that doesn't make a ton of sense, but you'll see what I mean. You start off on the subway and start making your way through the carts, styling perps along the way. Think of it as just like GoldenEye 007, except you're just putting tuxes on people. Then you get to this hilarious side room. It is much bigger on the inside. We are also introduced to our hilarious new enemy, the Flasher. Fashion crime in elegant exposure. I think I've seen this guy at the World Cup. Jokes aside, these guys are fun. You don't know if they are too flashy or too drab until they open their coat, but Deez takes it in stride. These guys can be quite a hold up since they're invincible while wearing their coat and can be a pain in large groups, but for now, take him down while he's by himself. Make your way through the increasingly bougie and totally physically possible subway cars, starting off with fancy changing rooms, classy hardwood staircases, and stone-walled bathhouses with their own waterfalls. Wow, Dubai, get on it. Don't forget to use the Steam to get some air and check behind every waterfall as per video game tradition. Make it to the station and we lost him. Not to worry though, Haley tells us to search the area for clues, clean up these dirty advertisements, and bingo! Cheap and secret evil lair rentals. Sounds like our mark. Leap our way past the subways in this fun jumping segment, and once again, how is this running on Doom? Continue the chase in this now powered down subway tunnels and into the supervillain's rental elevator. We are now entering the second boss fight, Son of a Glitch. And boy, howdy, hold on to your designer hat because we are in for some plot twists. Deez enters the facility only to immediately get distracted by a dazzling overcoat limited edition from the Gucci Gaggy 88 collection, a must-have, and honestly, I see where Deez is coming from here. That looks pretty fresh. However, that designer coat ends up being a trap design for Deez. If only we had some sort of heads up. We are trapped, and none other by Deep Coat. We have been betrayed. Betrayal. It's time to meet our tailor. Then suddenly, the wig is up. The real Deep Coat has arrived to put an end to Sus Coat. Or should we say, Arden Cut. But that's not all Mr. Cut has in store for us. He takes off his clever disguise and gasp. Arden Cut isn't his real name. It's an anagram of Runt Coat, the sagging pants little brother of Deep Coat that never calls. Deep Coat makes one more plea for Run Coat to give up his crime spree, but it is in vain. Run Coat is determined to finish what he started and traps Deep Coat in another red ribbon barrier. He then announced his third and final villainous reveal, his fashion crime boss persona of Turncoat.
This is a lie. Final form my ass!
Well, after so many reveals and delightful abundance of puns, he reveals his plan to sabotage the upcoming gala live on air, crashing the event with his unsightly fashion criminals and bringing an end to Trendopolis' fashion icon status. But before he goes off to embark on his master plan, he leaves his young Padawan to deal with us, forged in the deepest part of YouTube comment sections, radicalized with fake fashion arguments on glitter. Have you had enough punishment yet? We now have to fight our newest challenger, XX Ooh Senpai Swagman XX. Wow, that is alarmingly close to what I had chosen as a gamer tag when I was a kid. Oh boy. This elite gamer boy comes with quite a bit of fanfare. The memes that make me feel old, lol. Just in time, though, Deep Coat frees us from our trap, and we begin this amazing boss fight. His first attack can be relatively easily dodged, similar to the Furry boys back in the earlier levels. Just jump or duck to avoid them. He's only really vulnerable to the wet ones, and even then, mostly the primary fire. Me thinks he's got some real con gamer funk going on, if you know what I mean. He'll summon some drones, quickly get rid of these with the wet one secondary fire to keep them from mining the area. Those will do a ton of damage. When he Naruto runs around, try your best to keep him in your crosshairs and do not stop spraying. When he takes enough damage, he'll start to glitch out, and in this state, he'll transform into 3 different forms vulnerable to either the Dive Force primary or secondary, or the Tailor-Made's primary. Watch carefully which form he takes after glitching and open fire. Keep this up once or twice, and after you do enough damage, he'll suck us into one of his servers. We first enter this free-running-esque space and have a Metal Gear Solid reference that I completely love, with a Metal Gear Solid-esque rendition of the boss's theme, which is sick. Hell, even the main characters are getting overloaded with memes. 69 for 20 lol, 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 lol. This part can be tricky. To be honest, it ruined my first 2 tries at this boss, but once you get it down, it's like second nature. Just use the wet ones and try to gain speed. Eventually you'll get to the hard part with the disappearing platforms that change every time you jump. Remember this: right, left, left, for the last part, and you'll make it to the server. Serve it some justice with your belt of justice to bring it back to the arena. Quickly damage him when he returns to his normal attack patterns. Be warned, those attack patterns change up a bit after each section and becomes quite a bit harder to dodge. I found that you can also sometimes use the computer in the back to avoid his attacks, but it is far from reliable. Wear him down enough and Swagman will bring out the big guns, or I guess I should say big hammer. That's right, this boss comes complete with the Reddit mod superpower to drop the ban hammer on any insolent fashion kappas.
The hammer, yeah!
Easier than the first section, but a bit tougher than the second sequence I found. Just pay attention to the hammer's direction, and you should be able to avoid it fairly easily after some tries. Charge up your wet ones and fire on the red section of the hammer's grip with the wet ones secondary. May take a few tries, but eventually you'll whittle him down and be greeted with this amazing end of boss sequence. Press F indeed. Afterwards, our fashionably challenged friend is given a whole new lease on life with some stylish new threads. Deepcoat returns, and unfortunately, he is empty-handed, unable to catch his escaping brother, and being downbeat about his brother's heel turn. He goes into Runt's tragic backstory, how since Deepcoat was spoiled by their parents as a kid, so there was nothing for his little bro to wear growing up, meaning he had to wear months out-of-date fashion. Deepcoat hoped that despite his brother's hardships, he could turn things around when he got accepted to a world-famous fashion university, but unfortunately, he's gone down a dark path. Deez isn't gonna let Deepcoat beat himself over this, though. Not skipping a beat, he suggests the two continue the team up and stop Runcoat's evil plans. God, I love these. One coffin dance later, and we hit the beach in Beach Please. Man, I could use a good beach right now. I'm not sure if you can tell, but I'm recording this in wintertime, and yeah, I miss the beach. Not long after making our way through this level, we meet our new terrifying enemy, and he's by far one of the biggest pains to deal with in this game, Mr. Spudo's fashion crime, outlawed swimwear. And outlawed it should be. This big palooka is terrifying in multiple ways, not just in appearance, but also in what a pain he is to deal with. He requires 2 fashion tools to take care of, some gnomes to get rid of those nasty crocs, and the tailor-made fabric grenades to cover up that unsightly banana hammock.
Dude, it is so nice out here. You mind if I take it down to the banana hammock?
Only getting both his health bars down will fashionize him. Until then, his high damage attack will keep you on your toes. After taking him down, Deez comments on how he used to rock Spudos back in the day. Fortunately, we won't be seeing that here. Or unfortunately, move on to the alley and fight a massive wave of enemies. With all the new enemies added, especially with the Spudos and fire guys, these fights are becoming much tougher. Do some parkour on the dance floor for armor and make your way to the beach. Not gonna lie, these clubs are pretty cool. Grab the blue scissors and battle your way through this, interesting modern art gallery. Also, don't forget to clean here for a secret. Make your way up to the sniping area and get ready for one of the tougher fights in this game. Honestly, the sniper section is incredibly well done, smooth, and with an impressive size battle arena filled with lots of different targets. Your job here is either fix their hair or outfit. To be entirely honest, these sniping sections are extremely difficult for me. Maybe it's because I use a controller. No, it's because I use a controller. And I'm also just really bad at these kind of games in general. I'm not really good at sniping. If too many unfashionable guests get past, they will cause the gala to lose ratings and you will fail the mission. Just keep an eye on the possible routes these fashion criminals can take and you should be good to go. As difficult it is a fun way to break up the usual combat. After some chic sniping, we fight our way through some more clubs, then back onto the beach. Don't forget to use the umbrellas to get some air, and the battles in this mission are starting to get kind of brutal too. So start using those fat barrels, they'll instantly fashionize anyone nearby, and you'll also see more and more of them on the more hectic battle arenas. Then from here, move on to Mission 10. This time, get ready to run across some rooftops as you parkour through Trendopolis, make it past the burger fling sign, and find this fun secret here using the mattress to break through the glass. After that, use the helicopter to get to the other side and unleash your fat glove. After some fights, we come to my favorite enemy in the game because they are super fun to fight. Actually, no, they're not fun to fight. That was a lie. In fact, they're super annoying to fight. I just have a huge crush on them. DJ Too Loud, Fashion Crime, Too Loud Garments. And they mean that literally. Take him out with your Wet One secondary attack. She shields allies and has an extremely hard to avoid area of effect attacks, so she takes high priority for me. She also kind of like interrupts the game's rocking soundtrack with this kind of mid dubstep song, so once you take her out, it returns to the normal soundtrack, so that's a big plus too. You'll see her buff some enemies on the beach. Remember to use the beach houses on umbrellas to keep off the ground. Don't forget to get those pickups over the volleyball court too. Go upstairs and enter into the second, and in my opinion, much harder sniping sequence. This one has 3 paths and adds shoes to your sniper for more fashion crime solving options. I want to give some tips on how to beat this sequence, but I honestly have nothing. This part is just trial and error for me. After a few tries, you save the gala and have to go meet up with Officer Haley and enter something I was not expecting. A vehicle turret section. Honestly, this one is pretty good, and I'm super impressed they were able to pull this off in GZdoom of all things. I actually don't even like vehicle turret sections that much, but I enjoy this one quite a bit. It's surprisingly smooth, and I just love the backgrounds. And compared to the sniper spanking we just got, it's fairly easy too. Also, I love how Deez is just hanging back there. It's just honestly kind of an epic cutscene, despite, being basically in just 2D. Finish up this mission and into my fave in the game, something I hope stands out because sniping sections aside, I love all the missions in this game, but only one is After starting the mission, you may recognize this killer tune as well. It's the one I used as an example of this game's amazing soundtrack earlier on in the video. Some tough and extremely memorable encounters later as you navigate your way through the tight halls of this insanely bougie cruise ship. Fight your way into the foyer and check out the bathrooms. One of them has Deep Coat waiting behind this revolving hidden door. He gives up the deets on Runt's location. He also put a tracker in Runt's bag and knows his location is at the captain's quarters of the ship. Just got to make our way past the golf course. He also brings some attention to our weirdly functioning fab glove, although Deez doesn't seem too worried at the moment. This mission has some great arenas, especially this pool area, but if you found the previous levels were getting kinda tough, this one's got some killer segments. For glove, past the pool, and Deep Coat reveals the last weapon of the game. Your all-purpose, all-fashion crime-solving wardrobe launcher. Now with Murd. I also love this little bit where they come up with the name for the new weapon. I, however, was a bit partial to big, fashionable gun, but I'll take wardrobe any day. Battle your way across the golf course, use your wardrobe to take care of those groups of mobs real quick, and the wet ones to increase your movement speed, defeat the last wave of enemies, then launch yourself into the exhaust port of the ship like you're taking a secret path in Mario Kart Double Dash. And then we head into the penultimate mission of this game, through the fire and the noise. Banger of a mission. Although it is the toughest of the game by far, for real, most of the deaths in my entire playthrough were in this mission alone. You will also notice a shift in the music. The music goes from its normal funky tunes to what I would call metal funk. I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's awesome. Make your way through the confined hallways, careful of enemies hiding behind doors. Shortly into this mission, we are introduced to Fashion Police Squad's final enemy, the Gimp Suits. Fashion crime, indecent exposure, which I think might be the only one of these that is an actual real crime. These guys can be interesting to fight. They need the same fabric grenade needle shot combo that a lot of other enemies use, and they aren't the tankiest, but I have noticed they have a higher than average amount of health. They also got a few more quirks, as you'd expect from a Gimp Suit themed enemy after all. Their main attack mostly just consists of locking you in place, and you have to mash A to get out of it. This move means that he isn't too dangerous alone, but keeping you in place while being attacked by other enemies can be deadly in a large fight. I also noticed on this playthrough that he often spawns with vape boys nearby. This is because your stunning and vape destroying belt of justice actually heals him. Huh.
This better not awaken anything in me.
He will actually jump in the way of your attack, shielding his allies from your belt and even blocking you if you're close enough. This more than anything caused a ton of my deaths, and he always takes priority for me. MTV makeover these fools and continue through the bowels of the ship. Grab those scissors and get ready for some fast-paced platforming. Make your way past this stairwell that always gives me a ton of trouble. I also use the Fab Glove around here, and it definitely is starting to act not quite right. We press forward, and finally, we're out of the engine section of the ship and into this lovely brake section where you do some more fast-paced parkour across the side of the ship. And listen to that. That's right, it's a rendition of the previous mission song, Cruisin' for a Bruisin', but made to sound like you're hearing it from the outside of the vessel. I love this little detail, and honestly, it's a banger from out here as well. I honestly like the enemy list section to break up the onslaught as this entire mission and what we're about to jump into. Get to the end and enter the air vent and gain access to the ship's own personal ski slope. Even Deez is impressed. This part is tough since you will be dealing with hordes of enemies, but you have a little bit more room to maneuver than you did before. Although, personally, I prefer just to slide past most of them with the Wet One's super move ability. Don't forget to go to this launch for some health, this cave at the first arena for some wardrobe ammo. I like to save my wardrobe ammo for this part, and after this mission is just the final boss, so fire at will, and trust me, for this last section, you're gonna need everything you have. Honestly, I don't see how you can get past this part without wardrobe ammo or a charged up Fab Glove. It is tough. Enter the elevator and get to the captain's deck, and onto the final boss in the final mission, Turns Out. The final mission and final boss of this game, we arrive to face Turncoat. He monologues at us. He tells us that Deez's coolness and killer style has convinced him to have a change of heart. I mean, look at the man. I would too. He tells us that he can actually use the big, unfashionable gun and turn it into a big, fashionable gun. However, Deez isn't buying it this time. Not even at 50% off. And with that, Turncoat initiates the fight, and needless to say, it's gonna be a tough one. But check out this cutscene. Does this remind anybody else of Kill la Kill?
You will assist me.
No.
Also, listen to that music. His hoverboard has evolved into a drone, and in the meantime, he started sporting some ominous anime glasses. Get out your TaylorMade and start blasting. His attacks are fairly easy to dodge as long as you keep moving. After taking down his first health bar, he'll start whipping out some fashion crime clothing and start using their attacks against you. The first phase is fire. Try your best to jump through the circles, cool him down with your wet ones, and then use your TaylorMade to down him again one more time. I find this next phase much easier. He takes out a Curious George looking rain jacket. Take out your To Die For and suck the neon out of it. Use the primary to take care of the zombie coats that he drops every once in a while. That should be his last wardrobe change for now. Take down his drone one more time with your TaylorMade, then activate your Fab Glove to finish this fight once and for all. But wait. Yep, this thing is definitely on the fritz. The Fab Glove flashes purple and Turncoat goes from cowering to gloating. We should have known it was him who donated the Fab Glove to the Fashion Police Squad headquarters in the first place, and now it seems like it's our turn to be defashionized. At first we get transformed into a doll suit, smash the A button to stay awake, and once you take out the phantom coats, you'll be turned into a neon bruh. This part is fun, and I definitely did not expect this far into the game. That's right, it has a functional skating minigame, and seen nowhere else but this one section. Attack the coats and spin for some sick tricks and build up your fab level. This last one can be a pain on top of the unfashionable gun, but once you get the hang of the mechanics, it should be fairly easy to build up your points and take out the coats. Refashionize yourself and take Turncoat out in one more TaylorMade section. Turncoat has had enough and threatens to turn us unfashionable once and for all. But just in time, Deepcoat comes and saves us from being defashionized. Using his own Fab Glove, the short out Turncoat's Fab Glove. Turncoat is shocked to see that Deepcoat has one and asks where he got it. It turns out that they were Deepcoat's hand-me-downs all along. Man, Deepcoat's the best. Runcoat, however, decided to power up his Fab Glove one last time despite Deepcoat's objections. And I hope you like Akira, because I think you can figure out where things are going to go next. After a flash, it seems that Deepcoat has disappeared and something strange is happening to Turncoat.
Oh, real nice, Rick. Turning our son into an Akira? Real nice.
He becomes some sort of Akira-style monstrosity of all the fashion crimes we have faced so far. This is the final and by far the hardest part of this boss fight that has already had so many sections. Get out your wet ones and get ready to dodge. His shield keeps you from damaging him, so you have to dodge for now. Fortunately, Haley arrives soon and starts dropping off mocktails and wardrobe ammo, and you're going to need that ammo because the wardrobe is the only weapon you have that can actually actually damage the boss. Wait until he does this pincushion attack here, flip it over with your Belt of Justice, then jump over to get over his shields and attack him directly. Don't forget, you can also use the big unfashionable gun to get some breaks in between, since I've noticed he has a little bit of harder time to hitting you up here. I still have trouble with this part, but fortunately there's a checkpoint, so even if you do die, it doesn't send you all the way to the beginning of the boss fight. After a few well-placed shots of the wardrobe, this fashion abomination is finally out of action.
I don't want to see any more anime stuff happening to my son, Buster.
The now fashionized turncoat seems like a whole new man. He even starts going by his real name, Runt. Although it doesn't seem like there's any sign of Deep Coat for now, but Deez's fashion senses tell him that he still might be around. But with the source of the fashion crime stopped, the city is safe. We even get to see our reformed fashion crime mastermind strut his stuff on the catwalk. And reformed he is. In honor of his brother's sacrifice, he even opens up a charity to design fashionable clothing for children in need. Deep Coat got a sparkly solid gold statue to honor his sacrifice, complete with smoke effects. But for Officer Deez and Haley, there's still more work to be done. We see Haley be surrounded by fashion criminals, Doom title style, when Deez arrives and shows off his new threads. I dig it, and I love these gnome boys, oh my goodness. Haley, however, isn't much of a fan. And with that, the game ends on one last message from Deez. It's not what you wear, it's how you wear it. Which I think is a fitting message as any for this absolutely wild, hilarious, and super charming game. Earlier on in the review, I mentioned that while playing this game, I had a smile on my face the entire time, and I was being entirely honest, and I really want people to give it a shot. From beginning to end, it is a smooth and polished experience, dripping with creativity and charm. Also, what do you think of my Fashion Police Squad uniform? Credits to my friend Rooney Tooney for drawing my character, my Fursona, in such a dashing manner. I think this proves my authority to solve fashion crimes, although anyone who knows me knows pretty well that if there's any job I should not have, it is a member of the Fashion Police. But if you can, give this game a try. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. I'll try to play some more indie and GZdoom games on top of real-time strategy games and Japanese classics. I do want to do some streaming in the future, but unfortunately I got nothing planned since I'm super busy at work at the moment. But let me know if there's any video games that you really love or are interested in and would like a video on, and I'll try and give it a shot. I want to try and do some more short form video content in the future. And until then, stay wonderful.